Good morning, good evening to everyone. It's so good to be as part of this gathering to kind of talk a little bit about Mrs. Peters, whom I think we all have been affected incredibly. I just noted on a few points here. I started right from LKG to 12th as well. So ICSE in like the end of '78, and then graduated in 1981. So. And as Mrs. Peters, yes, we all know her, how strict she was. But as a principal, she focused on the discipline, and of course, she took great care to kind of enhance the school as well. In fact, we used to have Parents' Day. I think that time it used to be called Parents' Day, and she used to take incredible amount of effort and care to make sure that everything went smoothly. So that part of it was one part of her. As a teacher, whether she taught us Tirukkural or a chapter from Great Expectations from Charles Dickens or the Nora Burke's Jungle Picture. She was like a fantastic teacher. She would completely become a teacher in the classroom and a principal outside the classroom. And of course, as a guide and as a personal coach, she would focus on her handwriting. Many of us will remember her handwriting assignments on the wall in the initial building. And she'd focus on our grooming. And at some point in time, we all had Wednesdays and Saturdays as whites, if you remember, and make sure that she used to call them blancos. Get your blanco out for your white canvas shoes. Those kind of little things. The one thing I definitely remember from her is one of her statements is exhibit the best on your windowsill. And that's such a telling statement that we all have tried to. I've definitely tried to take that in my life as well. So again. May her soul rest in peace, and thanks for all of you for joining and celebrating her memories.
Thank you, Mr. Dinakaran Subramaniam.
Hi, all of you. I belong to the 1974 batch. I think we were the first and the last batch of ISC, and then it became an ICSE. Yeah, she was a great teacher, and we had in tandem with her Father Murphy. I don't know if any of you remember him. He used to teach Julius Caesar, then Twelfth Night, and she used to take on a book called Lord of the Flies, and she explained that so well. I don't know if any of you had those books while you guys were in school. She was very strict, but at the same time, somebody remarked that it was a velvet hand inside an iron fist. So she was generally, a very loving and a sweet person, but she had a very formidable exterior. She could be very strict, and she could be very, very firm when it came to matters of discipline and academics. So as the first batch, we had only 6 of us in my class, the first batch of ISC. And so I had to share her with only 5 others. I think she was kind of fond of me. I used to be called Nanda by most of my friends, but she used to call me Nandu. So yeah, so I think in some way she was
along as our principal because she had gone out. She had gone for a foreign assignment, and then she came back straight to the school. In one way, if you describe her, she was a person who was, perfection personified. Discipline, perfection, and people would just, she was more like a coconut, the hard exterior she had. She would fight anybody. You would get scared of her. But in the inside, she was a little soft person. She would take personal care. She would give you a punishment. And after the punishment is over, she'll come and make you sit in her chamber. And then she'll talk to you. She'll tell how you have to change your attitude. She will guide. She was like a guiding star. And for many of us, we would run for cover on seeing her, we would run for cover, even if we had not made any mistake, because she could find out the smallest mistake that you thought you have not made, but she has found it out. She was public speaking, she got most of us to do by her morning prayer meetings, where she would ask us to, come daily, one person should come and read the newspaper, So you had to prepare. So that was the way she inculcated that early morning, at least once in a week or once in a month, you will read your newspaper before coming to school. So the habit of reading newspaper also she developed, so that You could stand in front of an audience of your own schoolmates, but about 300, 400 people and read. That gave you a confidence of speaking in public. And there were so many small things that she did, like discipline. People would rush, throw their bags anywhere if they were late for the, prayer, and then just come and join in the assembly. Otherwise, they will be made to stand separate, and they will be picked up for the punishment. So overall, she was a guiding star for all of us. And I think whatever at that time we felt that she was doing was wrong, today in the long stead, our discipline, our the way we are today, in the way, it's all because of her. And you can't forget that for the rest of your life. Because in the Golden Jubilee also, when we had gone there, maybe I had met her after 30 years. She saw me from a distance and said, "Hey, Vivek, you please come here." So she could spot the person, and then she would sit with me and talk about my sisters, where they are, and get to know each one of us. And she was a very nice lady, nice at heart, and it's very difficult to forget her. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. Can I ask Ms. Sagita to unmute and give her views?
Yeah, I just want to echo what many of the people who went ahead of me said. I joined in Manavani after the half-yearly exams. I moved from St. Michael's because I had an accident. I fell off the 3rd floor and broke my spinal cord and pelvic bone. So, and my parents shifted to campus, and I needed to go to a school that was that didn't involve getting on a bus or anything like that. So Manavani was the only option. And I still remember when I started walking and I came into the building, Mrs. Peters was waiting at the gate because she knew that was going to be my my first day. So she was waiting like at the metal gates outside, and she had made arrangements for all my classes to be on the lower level of the building, so I didn't have to climb the stairs. So unfortunately, many of my classmates who had classes in the 2nd floor had to move down, so I didn't have to climb the stairs to get to my classes. And even during the prayer, she would make sure that I was sitting, because I couldn't climb the stairs down to get to the little area, the sanded area there. So she had me sitting on a chair for the first month, so I didn't have to navigate those stairs as well. So those little things, and every day she would come and check. After, like, during lunch, she would come and check just to make sure I was not in any pain or anything. And she really went out of her way to make sure that the last quarter of that year was, I transitioned well. And after that, I'm so deeply indebted to her for making that transition so seamless for me. And my parents as well would definitely echo that thought, because that was a huge burden off their shoulders in terms of making sure that I adjusted well in school. But I do have to say, the way she carried herself, like her strict exterior and her soft interior, like everybody else said, made it a safe space for many of us to go and tell things to her. So, and you knew she had your back. So, and in many ways, like many said and unsaid ways, she's had a deep impact on all our lives in so many ways. That's why we're all here now. So I just want to say thank you for those of you who've put this together and giving us the opportunity to share our fond memories of her. And just to say, like, she's had such a deep impact in my life that I am a teacher now because of her. The respect she commanded was so fascinating, and many of us wanted that for ourselves as well, and that's why we chose the careers we chose. So but thank you so much for those of you all who put this together.
Thank you, Ms. Sangeeta. Venkat, you can add on Mr. Murli G of the 1970s batch who has raised his hands.
Yeah, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening, whichever part of the world you are in. Yeah, it's been as many of you have said, it's been a very fond remembrance of Mrs. Peters. And it's not only me, my brother, my sister who studied in the same school probably 3 years and 5 years after I passed out. They also remember her and with very nostalgic memories. And it's not only the three of us, but my mother also remembers her because there's plenty of times that she has been called to the school for some mischievous doings of ours, and probably waiting outside her room along with her after the school hours is something that we all dreaded of. As many of you have said, she was, yes, a strict disciplinarian. But my fond memories are when she used to walk along the corridor along with Father Murphy, like Nanda used to say, and, you know, and Father Murphy had a habit of just entering any class. And that white robe of his and the pink skin of his was something that is so awesome to us at that point of time, you know, when you're 5 years to 10 years old. And he used to make us recite poems, and he always had chocolates in his pocket on the white robe that he was wearing. And for those people who did recite it well without a mistake, he used to pop out a chocolate in his hand and pop it out into our pockets. So it's all fond memories. Today, what we are, either wherever we are, in whatever field we are in, I think a lot of it is we owe it to Mrs. Peters for the discipline she has inculcated in us, and at the same time, the warmth of the heart, how you have to be very kind and loving to all the people whom you associate with. And that is one thing that she also taught us the best of her ability. But there are a few things that she really, I remember of her was, you know, that those times we used to have a gallery and we used to walk from our classroom 5 minutes before the prayer assembly, march in fact. And as we marched back after the assembly, she used to stand there and inspect our nails, our socks, our shoes, and pull up people who probably didn't wash their socks or haven't polished their shoes, whether it was white shoes or whether it was black shoes. And these were habits that they probably inculcated, and she inculcated in us, and that is what we probably have been following now for the last so many years. And it's been a wonderful feeling. Of course, we will all miss her, but I'm sure Mrs. Peters is there above us and looking at all of us from heaven above and smiling and probably patting herself on her back and saying, yes, Mrs. Peters, job well done. Thank you, that's all. We hope that and thank you for the people who organized this memorial meeting. It's been many of us could not make it to the funeral at Bangalore, but I know this is something that we can do from our end. And as the current principal was saying, I think it's befitting that we really make that block in remembrance of her at the school.